Mayor Tim Keller, thank you so much for being with us today.
Good to be with you.
Monday night in Old Town, as the protest against the Oñate statue became more tense, uniformed, identifiable city police stayed away from the scene. In effect, leaving a void that allowed these armed militia members to step in. These are people you now say may be designated as a hate group. Why was this allowed to happen?
You know, how our city has dealt with protests and situations when these groups show up, it has evolved, and we're looking at this. We're trying to improve it after each event. These folks have been at a lot of the protests, a lot of the BLM protests. And basically, after the Trump protests, I think that was maybe 4 years ago, our city took a de-escalation approach to protests, which basically means they will engage as soon as there is a violent act, and they'll engage right away. And that was as a response to over policing and police being part of the sort of escalation problem. And now we come to what happened last week, and we actually have the opposite challenge, right? Where we all wish folks were there sooner. But the challenge is oftentimes when they arrive sooner, it actually just makes things worse. So again, this is a challenge that we're seeing all across the country. The cities that have police in the middle of protests, there's often much, much more violence. So it's something we're looking at. But I do want to remind folks, I think, look, as a person and just what I believe, like I wanted those folks out of there. We tell everyone never to show up with weapons at a protest, but the state controls that law. The city is not allowed in any way to take weapons from people at protests. And that's a terrible thing, and it's got to change. We've been advocating for this for years. And until that state law changes, unfortunately, it is their constitutional right to be there.
Well, let me go back just a little bit, because in an interview with Gene Grant 2 weeks ago, you and the CAO said you expected more incidents with these armed groups. What did you do to prepare?
Well, we tried to have officers close by. And again, this is, some of these tactical things are really APD type questions, but I can certainly speak to them as best that I can. So to prepare, I think two things happened. One, this was, for all intents and purposes, I think our department was expecting a peaceful vigil, and that's what it was. And it quickly escalated, and they were trying to adjust as fast as they could. And so they, were able to get the additional teams there. They were able to get an EMT there minutes before the shooting. The challenge is, we all wish it would have happened sooner, but these protests are messy and these situations evolve. And I also know it's a very rough science. And I do know we were trying, obviously, to do the right thing, but there's plenty of room for improvement.
The man who was shot, Scott Williams, was lying on the ground for several minutes. There was absolute chaos. We've all seen the videos. It seemed like a shockingly long time before officers arrived, and then it was riot police. Is there no in between here? It's either nothing or riot police come in?
So, I mean, the scene was horrifying. It was terrible for all of us to watch. And what the department has said is there was between 3 minutes between when people they were able to come in and help, and that can be a lifetime. And actually, if it had gone even probably a couple minutes more, it probably would have cost a life because of the EMT that was part of the team. So what our city does, we've looked at alternatives, and we will continue to look at ways to have presence there. The challenge, again, let's remember, all around the country, the challenge has been when there's like one officer there or two officers there, it usually escalates the situation. And we tried that a couple of weeks ago, and we had a sergeant's car damaged and almost tipped over. So, unfortunately, again, I want a better answer, and we'll look for a better answer, but there is not an easier answer. Historically, when there's been a few officers there watching, they've become targets or they have instigated others, and there's been violence.
So APD said they had some undercover officers there to observe, but even as the clash got more and more tense and things spun out of control, they didn't step in, identify themselves, try to do something. Why is that?
It's my understanding that they were at the exact opposite end of the scene. So what happened was kind of at the intersection of Mountain by the statue. It's my understanding our folks were way back in Tigway Park observing. And so the specifics on that, I mean, you have to ask like physically what they were doing, but I know they were not close by is what I was told.
Um, you know, the lack of police presence there, and allowing these militia members to have the space to feel like they needed to step in. This week, the Chief Geyer said APD opposes this vigilante action. You've said the same thing. Have police on the street been too tolerant of these groups? I mean, we've heard these reports of them being referred to as armed friendlies. Have police been too tolerant of these militia groups?
Well, I want to remind folks, like, unfortunately, in New Mexico, right, you can't push those groups out. They unfortunately are protected by two constitutional rights, the freedom of speech and the freedom to bear arms. And we want the power to change that. So I think the challenge is we have two options. We have de-escalation, which has been our policy. And I understand now that's been really challenged, and we have to look at that. The other thing we're looking at is if we actually, try and put officers between the two groups, because they both have the constitutional right to be there. That typically in other cities has led to much more violence. And so it's just a very difficult challenge. And again, we're trying to de-escalate things. And unfortunately, for those folks, you tell me and our department what we can do legally, and we are interested in learning and doing that.
I mean, we've seen at events in the country where protesters are put into these First Amendment free speech zones, behind these chain link cages. Why can't you have a Second Amendment zone where everyone who wants to bring a gun gets behind this cage and that's their space?
I think it's something that we're looking at, and we actually asked our department to consider that kind of approach. Again, that has been the other approach. That is also the approach that led to lots of violence in other cities, because people all of a sudden tear down those cages and start shooting at each other. So, that is literally happening all around the country. So we just have to be careful and do the best that we can.
If your proposed Department of Community Safety had been in place, fully funded, up and running, everything you wanted, would anything have happened differently on Monday night?
That department is really meant to reduce the over-policing and trauma that communities of color have seen in their neighborhoods, and also free up officers to just do basic police work and not try and have to solve every problem that people call in 911 for. So I think in some ways, these are very different concepts. But I like to believe that, to your point, there is a way to have unarmed folks available to try and keep the peace at protests. But as you pointed out, when people are there with AR-15s, an unarmed civilian who works for the city isn't really going to be able to make a difference. So I think these are, both mostly different ideas, but that community policing or community safety department, I think, does send a strong signal. Again, we've been trying to de-escalate violence in our city, and we've been trying to untraumatize interactions with the police. And so there is a common thread here. Until yesterday, our community had been speaking loud and clear for years that police were too intrusive, doing too much, and over-policing our community. And so that's what that department is really designed to do. And it's also designed to reflect the fact that for decades, we have laid at the feet of officers every challenge facing our community. And even through the DOJ process, we just say, do more, get behavioral health training, get homeless training. And we're also understanding that that's not effective. We need to have the right response at the right time. And that means a trained professional, whether it's a social worker, a psychologist.
So one of the things you mentioned you want to do is ask the state legislature to change a state law that prevents you from dealing with some of these militia members and their guns. Is what you're asking for is the ability to take away guns from people who show up to a protest just because they have a gun?
Well, we want to be able to regulate firearms at protests in the same way we would regulate firearms at schools or at community centers. And they're not allowed right now. And that's what we'd like to do. And I think it's a very reasonable thing. And I think that's the only way where we can actually try and prevent these things from happening, like as the protest starts. And then it also gives everyone legal reason right away. As soon as somebody shows a gun, you take away that gun. And that's what we do in our school system. That's what we do in our community centers. We need to be able to do that on public property. That's what we need.
Last question. The Albuquerque Museum Board of Trustees voted last week. They asked you to take the Oñate statue down. They knew it was controversial from day one, and they were afraid that it would be damaged. Why did you wait?
So in Albuquerque, we have laws, and there is a federal Gift Act law for public art that says that public art cannot be removed without the artist's permission. And so we, right after we got that letter, said, let's reach out to the artist. And we wanted to have truth and reconciliation dialogue from both parties about this and come up with a resolution, which may or may not have been removing the statue, but to have the community decide what to do because of the deep history of this. And that's what we announced on Saturday. And that's what, I think, given all the trauma and the colonial scars that are so fresh in our community, we still have to do that. Tearing down the statue doesn't change those wounds and the change for the need for dialogue. So
but Mr.
what
Mayor,
happened is
given that there's a man in the hospital with physical wounds right now, was that a mistake?
Well, I think we acted as soon as we could. Obviously, if I knew that would have prevented anything, we would have tried to do it sooner. But the artist gave us permission, and then we took it down. And it's something that absolutely anything I could have done to prevent that shooting, I wish I could have done. And to be honest, in this job, in these times, there are challenges every day, and there's things I would have done differently every day.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.